Hello, spooky friends. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. We're your horror besties, here to dissect our favorite and not so favorite horror movies. I'm Emma, and as always, I am joined by the fairest of them all, Allie.
The fairest of them all. That makes me think of Shrek, and now I want to watch Shrek.
Well, the mirror. I'm making a mirror connection here.
How stupid am I? I'm like, Shrek?
I mean, we do love Shrek, too, so.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Number 3, my lord. Why was that so funny? Oh my gosh. Well, hi, Allie.
Hello.
Oh my gosh. What have you been up to, my gal?
Honestly, I just came back from the most amazing road trip with my mom. Shout out to Lisa. That was such a fun road trip. We went to 5 national parks and a bunch of state parks as well and saw the most beautiful places. It snowed. We got some great weather.
Love that.
Yes. What about you?
Well, first off, Als.
You got a chair.
We went thrifting. And I got the most bitchin' fucking Victorian spooky chair. And I am on a mission to make a corner of our office like a little kind of like video studio type thing for the pod. Not for recording episodes necessarily, but for like doing little TikToks and like little film reviews and like, isn't it just the best chair?
It's perfect. Well, for some context, I am in a thrifting mode, much like a lot of the world right now. But so Emma was like, let's go thrifting. And I was like, fuck yeah.
It is so fun. I hope it's semi-haunted. We don't know yet, but I'll report back. I'll report back.
We already know it's haunted.
But speaking of haunted items.
Yes.
Als, what are we reviewing today?
What a segue. Because we are speaking about 2014's Oculus. So if you haven't seen Oculus, this is your chance to stop right now, go watch it, come back to us. But if you don't give a fuck, come on this reflective ride with us.
And one thing I want to note too is that this film, not only because we both have been wanting to review this film was also a specific request from Zach, one of our Patreon members. And Zach, if you are listening to this is for you. We are so excited and hope that you enjoy this episode.
What's up, Zach? Thank you. Thank you for making us watch this. I actually don't know about you, but it's one of those movies that is quote unquote one of those movies that I can't quite tell if I have seen or have not seen this before. I think I might have watched it. You and I sat down to watch it a couple of days ago together, which was fun in and of itself. We never get to do that. So it's, again, of the time, 2014, a lot of these movies blend in together with the same looking actresses and the same premises. So I don't know if this is my first time watching it or not, but could have been. What about you?
Back 5-10 years ago, I had a group of friends who we set out on a mission to watch some like lesser known horror films. And at the time, we like found a list somewhere online that was like, these are horror films that are not super mainstream and not a bunch of people have watched. So like you should watch them type of thing. I loved Oculus from the minute I watched it.
Why?
Because I love a film that makes me scared. And this film made me scared. So this film is about a recently released inmate from a mental asylum who learns from his sister that the murder that he was convicted of committing when they were kids was actually orchestrated by a supernatural entity, the Lasser glass mirror. That makes him sound like he's an 85-year-old felon, but this is very much like a young in his early adulthood man.
Yeah, yes. It's like inmate what?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, what? Something cool about the production of this film, and as we watched this together right before recording this episode, is that Oculus, the movie, is based on director-writer Mike Flanagan's 2005 short horror film, Oculus, Chapter 3, The Man with the Plan. And this short contained only one small windowless room, a single actor, and the mirror. It was initially a 9-part anthology short film series, or was going to be, and it was going to be planned all around this Lasser mirror, this glass. But Chapter 3 was the only one that they ended up filming. And Mike Flanagan has admitted that they were pulling a little bit of a Star Wars here, and they plan to release the remaining chapters out of order. It's so interesting because we watched it, and again, we watched Oculus the film first, and then watching this Chapter 3, it is basically as if they took Chapter 3 and made it into full length.
It's literally this short we watched could have been Oculus. It's basically, we watched it just an extended version.
Yeah. And studios were only looking for like found footage iterations, but Mike Flanagan denied all of those offers until a studio allowed him to film it traditionally and make it this like feature length film.
Honestly, thank God, because I am not for the found footage. We know I don't love a found footage film.
Something else cool about this film is that it was released on April 14th, 2014, and was a financial success. So this film garnered a box office total of $44 million on a budget of only $5 million. Critics gave it pretty favorable reviews. I mean, on IMDb, we have a 6.6 out of 10, which is very high.
Talking about high, the tomato meter is 75%. Brother, what the fuck? That is so high.
Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely not. No. Unlike you, I didn't care for this film. I think it's a whatever burger to me. It's neither here nor there. But
I can see that.
See, I'm with the popcorn meter, which is 54%. You could put it on. I'm kind of entertained, but I don't have to watch it and care. And for Letterboxd, we got a 3.2. So also kind of the middle of the road.
Yeah. I would say middle, maybe more on the higher side. This is also the very first Mike Flanagan film that we are reviewing, which is exciting.
It kind of boggles my mind, and it had me thinking, am I a Mike Flanagan fan? Because you hear his name a lot, we talk about him a lot, and then I looked at his filmography and I'm like, maybe I'm not as seasoned in his work as I thought. And when I say that, I'm not seasoned at all in Mike Flanagan. I think the only thing I'm really familiar with is Life of Chuck, and I just recently watched that, and it was fantastic. But everything else is, other than Oculus, I haven't seen.
That's actually very interesting.
I know.
I've never seen Life of Chuck. It's on my list. But I have seen The Haunting of Hill House. I did watch Dr. Sleep.
Right.
The producer and I recently rewatched it and really loved it. And I like Gerald's Game. I don't think I love it, but I do like it. He does a good job, I think, of doing these iterations that are based on Stephen King novels.
Yes.
So I did like that.
Again, looking at this, I was kind of shocked at myself for such a film and pop culture lover in general, just like hearing his name so much and then not having seen a lot of his work. So that's on me, and I have work to do. I'll be better, I swear.
Well, let's dive into maybe what all your thoughts on this film then.
Let's get reflective.
Oh, let's
reflect.
Cheers to getting reflective.
Cheers, bitch.
Our film opens with a young boy and a girl hiding from their father, who has a gun. And then it turns into adult Tim Russell. And he's explaining a dream that he had to his psychiatrist, or who we can see as like some sort of mental health advocate, before he is released from a psychiatric facility after years of treatment for some traumatic events that went on.
Yeah, so we're kind of opened with a couple different things here. We get that little flashback of some children. During this little what we learn is a flashback, we do see a brief glimpse of a little girl with glowing eyes, just like a really split second. So I was like, okay, so that's what I'm looking out for here.
Yeah.
And fun fact there is, I like to scare myself in the middle of the night. And now recently, that's what I've been envisioning. So that's not great for me. And then, like you said, we get pulled back into current day. We meet Tim, and he's played by actor Brenton Thwaites. But we're getting this insight as to he was this little boy, and now he's in this place, and we're learning about him and his trauma, and now he's just this hot young man. The doctor is talking to him, and they're basically saying, like, you seem fine now, let's put you back into the world. And like, we don't know what he's done to be there, but they're like, you're fine now.
Yeah, they totally believe that he's like recovered and that he no longer believes in any supernatural explanations for things. His doctor also makes a point to say that it's important that he reconnects with his sister, but that he also protects his recovery.
So that's a little bit of foreshadowing, maybe. Maybe the doctor knows how the sister's status of life is right now, how she's been holding up. So, because she's obviously had trauma too, but we don't know what hers is yet. But we're about to meet her in her fucking power ponytail. should we get thwacked in the face? Right, statement piece, that red ass ponytail.
The ponytail and the bangs,
yes,
honestly.
The bangs. Oh.
Yeah, so we then meet adult Kaylee, who is Tim's sister. And she's like some kind of antique auctioneer, or like she works in antiques, I think,
yes,
and selling, shipping, all of that stuff. And she's like with her fiance, who's played by James Lafferty.
Yeah, what in the One Tree Hill? Such a randomly very small part, don't you think? Like, it's kind of so random and small. Also, Kaylee is played by Karen Gillan, she's kind of having a moment. She's had a moment. But
she was big in like Marvel.
She's in the, I think she's Avengers. Mm-hmm. She like shaved her head for that role and everything. So she was big in that world.
Good for her. Yeah. Good for her. So she's here at this auction and this huge mirror called the Lasser glass. It is being auctioned off.
I think everybody should just run by the rules. Just never buy a mirror and never buy a broken mirror and never buy an expensive broken mirror that you don't know where it came from, all right? And it's kind of an interesting thing for production because making a film centered around a mirror provides a lot of obstacles, right? Because it's a reflective surface. So it's funny, there are stories about having to really overcome those challenges on set just with a mirror in and of itself.
I fully agree with you. Having a mirror, at the precipice of your film and then having it be haunted, even if this is all fictional, spooky, because so many things could happen. That thing could break. So much bad luck could come upon everybody. Whew, scary.
Well, and I think that kind of goes into what got me thinking about is the concept of mirrors in a film. Why are mirrors so scary and why is it used a lot in storytelling? Because it is so inherently scary. So you see it in, I mean, obviously Harry Potter.
I was going to say.
That's not so scary though, right?
Even in the latest, The Conjuring, The Last Rites, they have this whole mirror situation and it explains sort of the entire story of how Ed and Lorraine Warren got mixed up with all these different families.
But even in Candyman, the use of mirrors, the movie Mirrors, even movies with just some mirror influence, Black Swan, The Shining, Us, you see it used creatively and as characters in a lot of films. It's so that's what we're getting here. And just to be clear, I fucking am terrified of mirrors. Don't catch me buying a used haunted mirror at a thrift store, at an antique store. Not going. I love thrifting. I'm not thrifting a mirror.
There's something about a mirror too, because you're literally looking at the reflection of yourself. I mean, to quote Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
You are looking at yourself and you're forced to face things. And I think that is also where a lot of this inherent horror and this thought process comes from of why people are so scared of mirrors.
But I think that reflects, LOL, a theme in this movie, which is therapy. We see a lot. We see Tim talk about therapy a lot. And I think that goes hand in hand with a mirror. Kaylee is more on we learn that Kaylee is more on it's the mirror, but for Tim, it's the therapy. So they're both using each thing as their own coping mechanism.
Yeah, very, very true. And going back to Kaylee, so she works for this like antique company and she sees the mirror get auctioned off, but it's like, she is not the one that's buying it, but it seems like because she works for this company or whatever, she's going to know where it's getting shipped off to. And she also has access to it, which is going to come into play shortly here. So then later after this little auction, Kaylee goes to pick up Tim from this psychiatric hospital. And it's the first time that they have reunited in a really long time. And she takes him to lunch. She like hands him this check and is like, here's your half of the estate. And she tells him like, I want to help you get your own place and you can stay with me and my fiance for the time being. But it's very clear that they had different kind of adolescent upbringings and they weren't together.
And again, Tim is fresh out. It's not clear whether it's jail or a psychiatric treatment, but either way, he's been locked up in some kind of facility, whether it's a mental facility or jail. First of all, either one of those scenarios, jail or mental facility, he looks too damn good. So he could, if he were a serial killer,
very Ted Bundy.
Very Ted Bundy. Anyways, also it was very distracting to me how their ages, they look so different in age. Like to me, Kaylee looked like she could be Tim's mom.
Really? Because I didn't get that at all.
Really?
No.
It really threw me off. Also, the actress's voice just really, she does have an accent. She is, I think she might be Scottish, but so her voice also threw me off. Hey, I love her. She's a great actress, but everything kind of threw me off in this movie. I digress.
She ends up lamenting to Tim that she wasn't able to see him towards the end of his stay in whatever facility he was just in. She's basically like, hey, I wasn't allowed to see you. What was up with that? And he's like, well, you know, there was just some shit that I like needed to work through. And he's essentially like, I kind of like didn't want to see you because that would have halted some of my progress. And
we're getting all this background narrative that Kaylee is the older protective sister who he's trying to kind of nurse baby brother back into society after being incarcerated, but also really trying to have his attention focus on a mission that they have now that he's out and can help her. They have this mission. And again, he's like, no, I've moved on and you need to move on as well. And she's like, no, this mirror fucked up our lives and we're going to destroy it.
Do we feel like we trust that Tim, I mean, I know we've just met him now at this point in the film, so we don't really know, but do we trust that he's like recovered, quote unquote, or does it feel forced?
Well, again, we don't have enough information, I feel like, and I think that's intentional, but I don't know if we can't trust him yet, right? So no matter what, because we've been given the context that he has been having some issues, we're naturally not going to trust him. But also, I don't fucking trust Kaylee. She kind of seems a little off her rocker, very type A, which is good, but like, shit, bitch, sit down.
There's also this theme of like family trauma within horror, and we see this a lot. And I think that Oculus does a really good job, though, of setting this up, because even towards like the end of the film, we don't know whether it's a supernatural force that's happening, or are they just misremembering the things that have happened from their childhood that were super traumatic? And we see this happen in a lot of horror films where they really use that trauma to break down the walls and kind of make the character almost a little weaker, if that makes sense.
I think because the scariest thing of all is our brain. So psychology, the psychological impact of family and our trauma and everything we're going through. And that's what's happening to them. And they're like, is it our brains or is it fucking ghosts?
Yeah. And Kaylee feels in this moment like her energy is very much like, I've been waiting for this moment. And to me, I don't know about you, but it doesn't feel very comforting. It feels like almost concerning. Like, what do you have up your sleeve?
No, girl, sit down.
Yeah. Like, we don't really want to be a part of this, but we're going to find out in just a sec. Kaylee then reveals to Tim that she has tracked down the Lasser glass, which we saw in the previous scene with her at the auction.
She basically long gamed the glass. She like got a career in order to track down this thing. She a 10-year long game to try and find this mirror.
It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Like she tells him that she has looked at second bidders and found out like who shipped it to who and who was selling it, and that they only have a few days, which should be enough for them to kill it. And she says, Tim, like, don't you remember the promise we made?
Yeah, she keeps saying, we have to finish. Don't you remember the promise? I'm like, bitch, the fuck you talking about? Tim is very much so in the camp, again, of let it be.
Then we get our first flashback of the film. And right here, I want to preface, you guys, if you have seen Oculus, this film goes back and forth quite a bit between flashback, present day, flashback, and then towards the end, it actually starts to blend together. So we've kind of grouped, just for sake of discussion, some of the flashback stuff in each scene and then some of the present day. So it might feel like a tiny bit out of order if you were watching and following along with this episode. But anyways, our first flashback shows young Tim and Kaylee, and they're with their parents, Alan and Marie.
Is it just me, or do the people who play Alan and Marie, they look so familiar?
They do.
Alan looks like poor man's Ron Livingston to me.
I can see that.
It is so distracting. And then Marie looks like everybody.
So Marie terrifies me, even before she gets scary later.
Me too.
She terrifies me. But all that to say, Alan, he ended up purchasing an antique mirror, the Lasser glass, for his office for their new house. He had no idea this was haunted. He had no idea that it had issues. He just bought it somewhere.
Because they moved into this new house, right? That's so cute. That's so nice. He basically said, I was fine with purchasing stuff from IKEA, but he's saying this to his wife, but you wanted me to find something cool and unique for this house, but I just wanted IKEA.
And doesn't she say something like, I'm not trying to look like we have a collection. Like, I just wanted like a few nice pieces. So she's kind of like making fun of the mirror. Like, you didn't need to go this far in the antique direction.
Like, damn, you're Game of Thronesing our house.
Yeah. A fun fact here actually is that Mike Flanagan, he had fit the mirror into many of his projects as an Easter egg. And most notably, it is in the bed backboard in Gerald's Game.
Oh, interesting. How cool. We love those Easter eggs, but
you can actually see it in the film poster, which is really fucking cool.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Something I love about scenes like this, like especially these flashbacks where it's just this nice, unassuming family that's having a nice day. You just know they're all going to die. You just know.
Yep. In my notes, I literally am like, the family seems initially normal and happy, you know? Because like they just got a new house. I'm sure that they love each other like a lot of families do. But later that night, we start to get a little bit of an insight into their interpersonal relationships. And Marie tells Alan that she's feeling a little self-conscious. She's like, my C-section scar is like more noticeable now than it was 10 years ago. And they kind of both like think nothing of it. Alan's like, babe, no, it's not anything. But we do see it like pretty clearly. And she's like, it's bothering me.
The most important thing is that it's concerning her. She feels self-conscious about it. And we can tell.
Then Alan goes downstairs for juice in the middle of the night, and he hears something in his office, and he opens up the door. He's investigating to see maybe it's their dog, maybe it was just something fell or what have you. And for a moment, he just kind of stares at himself in the mirror. And this is the first indication that he's almost staring at himself a little too long.
Something, you can kind of tell something's off.
Then back in present time, we are back with adult Kaylee and Tim. Tim, rightfully so, in my opinion, he's kind of like, no, I don't really want to stay with you, Kaylee, and your fiance. I would like to opt for like a hotel. So Kaylee gets him situated, and you can tell it annoys her, but she eventually like relents and is like, okay, if you really want to stay here. And she tells him that he promised that he would never forget what happened and that she really needs his help to destroy the mirror the next night before the buyer comes who had originally purchased it at the auction.
What are the odds of all this timing out like this?
How fucking crazy is that? I know, like she really
worked hard.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to see this. She kind of thinks of everything.
She thinks of everything. Talk about type A. You got to be in this kind of situation.
Yeah. Later in the middle of the night, Tim is at his hotel. Kaylee's back with her fiance in their place. She awakes to a dog barking, and she like finds herself down in her dad's old office with the mirror hanging.
Are we made to assume that she lives in her parents', she still lives in this house, or is this a flashback to the house?
Well, we're going to find out that this is actually a night terror because as she's down in the office and she sees the mirror, suddenly her dad throws her up against the mirror, choking her. But then we find out like she wakes up and it's just a night terror. So I don't believe she lives in that old house, but we do find out in just a second that she does own it still.
She does own it, yes. So her partner wakes her up from this night terror, and damn, man, he's like, oh, it's okay. You were just having one of your night terrors. Was that normal?
Hey, if you have a lot of trauma, it might be.
That did not look normal. Imagine knowing you had that. Imagine going to bed knowing that was a possibility.
I actually have them every once in a while. You can even ask the producer. I will wake up sometimes and it's just like a, situation. And it's honestly, I've always had it. So I don't really know differently. It doesn't happen all the time, but I will say that I have more lucid dreaming now that I'm on Lexapro. Sorry, Lexapro baddies, stand up.
Hey.
But yeah, I get like very vivid dreams.
Like your dad choking you dreams?
Yeah, like things that feel so fucking real.
Wow, that's terrifying.
But moving on, the next day at work, this scene is interesting. So Kaylee's fiance, it seems that they work together. And Kaylee's fiance comes to her privately and is like, hey, I got you your own printer. There were some complaints basically about what she was printing, and he throws down some like crime scene photos that she had left in the printer.
He was kind of making a joke out of it, but also why isn't he more like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
She has not told him, obviously.
No, I don't think he knows the whole story.
So what does he know?
We don't quite know, but he also asks her about the Lasser glass because she had put in an order to have it transferred, and she tells him it needed a repair, and he's questioning her like, oh, I thought that the new owner said like no repairs, and she's like, oh no, it's just like a really quick thing, I'm gonna take care of it. But he's kind of like, he's a little sus.
Something I gotta say too here is they really nailed the young auctioneer look for both of them. And something that
I don't know what that is, but I love that you know what that is.
I didn't know what it was until I saw them, and now I'm convinced I know what it is. And who knew that 25-year-olds could be young auctioneers?
It's actually really cute that you mentioned that, and this is such a random little side tangent, but if anyone's watching season 4 of Love on the Spectrum, I don't remember who it was, but there's a new castmate, and when they intro them, they talk about like their little things that they love or don't love, and one of the things was, it was a guy, and it says he does not like when auctioneers talk. He doesn't ever want to be around, and I'm like, bro, I understand that.
Literally fair.
So you just reminded me of that.
Absolutely fair. Anyways, so I just think how they look and their dynamic is pretty funny because they're, as in the film, we're given the context that they're probably supposed to be like 25-ish or something. I just think that's really funny. Anyways, Kaylee says to Michael, I'm sorry for being off lately, but I promise I'll be better soon. So obviously there's a sense of tension between them, clearly, but she wants him to feel assured that the mirror is going to be broken soon. Yeah. She'll be back to normal. But he doesn't know that there's a fucking mirror to break.
He doesn't really know what back to normal means and how she needs to get there. But he's sort of just like, okay, chick, I trust you.
He must be super low maintenance because he's very chill.
He's probably whipped by the pussy.
Aye.
But anyways, she later then facilitates the transfer of the glass, and she's dealing with a mover logistical guy, and she uncovers it while the mover is getting some furniture pads. And she greets it like it's been like years since they've seen each other. And she actually says to it, "You must be hungry."
I hate this scene. Her talking to the mirror. I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But as somebody who is such an affirmation queen, I should be praising her for just speaking shit into existence and speaking to the mirror like it's a human. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I hate this.
And she admires it for a moment. And as she's looking into the glass, she actually sees some like 3 covered figures in the reflection standing behind her. And presumably, like, she's in an auction area. It's like people cover statues and stuff like that all the time, and figurines, but they kind of move slightly and it ends up being nothing. But then she uncovers them one by one and she turns for a second. And when she turns back, the third one has disappeared.
What I appreciated in this is Mike Flanagan tricked me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting your basic kind of camera shot, and he didn't do that. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, you're playing with me. I like that. I like how he played this because he didn't do what I thought he would do. He wasn't being a basic ass bitch.
Very, very true. This is such a simple thing that really does induce some fear.
It's truly is simple, Emma, when you say it like that. It's putting something in front of you and then replacing it and putting it back. That induces fear. It's also giving trick or treat.
It is giving trick or treat. Oh my God. Wow. Wait, I love that.
Me too.
Oh my gosh.
Anytime I can bring up trick or treat, I'm going to.
Also, I'm sorry, but like I would almost be more scared of something under a sheet that I can't see what it is versus something that I'm so clearly looking at.
That's the whole concept, though.
It's your mind.
It's your mind. It's why we're scared of what we can't see underwater.
It's spooky. It's spooky. And we're getting a glimpse into just Kaylee, again, is just one step ahead of everyone else. And she has like facilitated this transfer situation. And it sucks because like at first, like you're like, oh, this girl probably kills it in corporate. Like she's very confident. She's good at speaking. She's probably beautiful.
She's got a master in Excel.
And she's probably a master like salesperson. Yeah. Like I'd buy anything from her,
Her ponytail, her and her ponytail.
I would buy a light bulb with her telling me it's an apple. You know what I mean? With her very abrasive ponytail.
I would buy her hair serum for sure.
I would buy her hair serum. But I think that we learn like later on, I mean, it's very clear like she's just so deeply unwell.
Because if you were so tied to this thought that a mirror fucked up your family and you needed to prove everyone that is the truth, wouldn't you be so hellbent as well?
Obviously, Kaylee's been following this mirror, right? It's all been very calculated, and we don't know exactly if she meant for it to line up so perfectly with her brother's release from the facility so that they could like quote unquote fulfill their promise. Do we feel like there's any part of it that was the mirror purposely making this timing happen so perfectly?
Absolutely. If this is how it's meant to be interpreted, as the mirror is all knowing and can tell your emotions and sense you, it's kind of like in True Blood, how if a vampire bites you, it can always feel you wherever you are. It's like this. It can tell when Tim's about to be released. It can tell when Kaylee is prepared to embezzle a mirror. I'm not sure. It can tell, and it's like, or it's manufacturing the timing to make it happen. It is in control. The mirror is in control, I think.
And it's giving Kaylee that false sense of control. Like she thinks that this is all her doing, but it's in reality, it's like, no, the mirror is always one step ahead.
I think that's definitely the point.
Moving on. So Tim then calls her. He asks if they can go and like meet up somewhere to talk. And she asks him to meet her at the house. And at first he's like,
what house?
Well, he's thinking it's the house that her and her fiance live in. And she's like, no. The house where we grew up, which I think this is his first indication that that house is even still in their possession,
Yes.
which is spooky. Then we immediately go back into a flashback. So we have Marie, their mom, and she starts to kind of notice that like the indoor plants are dying, and it's a little concerning, but again, nothing like crazy. She's just sort of like, what the fuck? Like, I've been watering these, I'm taking care of them. Like, why are they dying?
Honestly, same girl.
Right?
I mean, mine's because I forget to water them, but same.
Yours are like, I actually have a reason. Yeah. And while working in his office, Alan, he hears some whispering, and it's seemingly coming from the mirror. But meanwhile, we have Kaylee and Tim, and they're outside playing laser tag. And Kaylee, she hides against the outside of the window into her dad's office, and she peeks inside where there's a little crack of where the blinds or like the curtains are of the window. And she sees like a random lady rubbing the shoulders of her dad. And she doesn't look too far into it. She's just like, oh, that's weird, and clocks it, and then like keeps moving on.
I don't know why the kids playing in the background this kind of thing always reminds me of The Conjuring. Does it give you that kind of vibe?
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
Stylistically, this whole movie gives me a bit of The Conjuring and Amityville Horror.
I actually had a moment in this film where I confused The Conjuring with stuff that was happening with the dog.
Yeah.
I kept thinking in my head, oh, we're going to see the part soon where the dog passes away in the yard. And then I'm like, wait, no, that's actually The Conjuring. And I was like mentally preparing myself for it. Yeah, that's a good point. Something interesting here, though, in this scene is that the woman that was rubbing Alan's shoulders is played by Mike Flanagan's wife, Kate Segal, who has become very popular in recent years, especially after The Haunting of Hill House.
She's definitely having a big moment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Then later at dinner, Alan seems to be super distant, and he kind of like bites one of his nails to the point that it bleeds. And I hate to admit this, you guys, but I am a little bit of a nail biter myself, but I don't think I ever bite to the point of bleeding. That is just another level, and I feel for everyone that does that because that is some anxiety that is coming out.
Well, and as somebody who doesn't bite their nails, no shade. This visual is so nail biting. Get it?
Truly.
Get it? No, it's so bothersome to me. It like sends a shiver down my spine. This is just a first of one of many scenes like this that just really get to you if you have that kind of trigger.
You should see mine and Alex's faces right now. We're kind of like
we're shriveling,
grimacing as we're talking through this scene. But he gets up from the table, and Kaylee, she's got balls and is like, well, who was the woman in your office earlier, Dad? And he like denies that anyone was in there, and then he leaves the room. And it's weird because in that moment, too, even the mom, like Marie is like, wait, what?
Yeah, she's like, what? Hold up.
Like, what woman? And she kind of plays it off, too, at first because kids say the darndest things. You guys remember that show? That was a cute show.
Yeah, but this girl was like 13.
No, she is. That's true. But anyways, then we leave things as is in the past in this little flashback, and we return back to the present. And Tim and Kaylee then arrive at their old house in the daytime. So Kaylee has convinced Tim to like meet her there.
And she actually comments, she's like, oh, this is your first time since that day, huh? Bitch, be more sensitive. He's probably freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, like, can you give this guy like one day? Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ.
Let's immediately take you back to Trauma Central.
Speaking of trauma, she also just starts unloading all of her fucking weird plans that she has, starting with she brings a dog into the house and tells Tim the dog doesn't have a name. We're just going to call it Dog because it has a very specific job to do while they're there.
Keeping personal connection out of it. It's just a job.
Exactly. And Tim then walks around the old house and he's finding it like mostly empty inside. He actually sees for a moment a chain connected to the wall, which is going to come into play later. And we don't know if this is a real thing that he's seeing or if this is just part of his memory.
Kaylee actually starts to talk to him about what she's been doing while he's been incarcerated or in the loony bin or whatever. She actually she was put into the foster system after the incident 10 years ago. And when she was a freshman in college, she actually saw that this house, their old house, went on the market and she bought it. Okay, way to buy a house at 18.
Did she buy it or was it just given to her?
No, she said she bought it.
Damn.
Because I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, maybe she got money from her dad.
The quote-unquote estate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably. And then she bought it. Crazy.
Because remember, he has his half of the estate, quote-unquote?
Yeah.
What?
Wild. And she tells Tim that they should try to sell it after, quote-unquote.
Yeah,
after
sure.
What, bitch?
Right. That's a good question.
Kaylee has Tim help her bring the mirror back in the house.
I love how this whole time She basically leads with like, I'm doing this, but you don't have to help me. With, the look over her shoulder, but like, please.
But like, help me.
But like, help me, brother.
He notices that she also has all kinds of other equipment set up. And she explains that her plan is to prove that the mirror is supernatural using cameras, alarms, and a timed like kill switch system.
She's basically home alone this one room in order to force the situation to get proof that this mirror is haunted. That's the end game, is to get proof that they're not insane, that the dad wasn't a killer, that the brother's not a killer, that this mirror is the monster. But also, when the way that Kaylee just whips the sheet off the mirror in this room, bitch, put a protection spell on it or something. Don't just willy-nilly whip that off.
For someone who is quote unquote so prepared, she just isn't that prepared, in my opinion.
Yes. Anyways, so again, Tim's like, what the fuck? Why are all these video cameras and monitors all everywhere? And she's, again, explaining her whole system. And she says, you don't have to stay for all of this, but I must get started. She puts her business pants on and she has this whole spiel. She literally turns into a robot and it's like an explanation video. It annoys me so much.
Yeah, she explains a few different things. Like she has alarms so that they get reminded to eat, because there have been people that have died previously from not eating because they were in the presence of the mirror. She also has alarms for them to like drink water. She has an alarm, or she has her fiance is calling her every hour on the hour. And if he doesn't hear from her, he's like instructed to just call the police. And the way that she tells him is, which I think is so fucked up. She's like, yeah, I told him that I was going to be alone in my old house with my previously incarcerated brother. And he's like, wait, what?
And she's so deadpan in this.
She is. She's like, sorry, I just had to. She also starts like recording to document their experience, and she's detailing all of the precautions again, etc., what have you. And she tells him like, this is all to keep the mirror from tricking them. From here, she goes into this like very long-winded explanation of all of the deaths that this mirror has been responsible for, at least like 43 deaths in its 4 centuries of existence.
And she literally, they spend about, I'm not even exaggerating, a good 10 to 12 minutes going over the history. Tim, in the midst of all of this, is like, why are you doing this? And she's like, shut the fuck up. And she just keeps going about all the histories. And she says where the mirror landed and how the person was killed, and then the next time it happened. And in my notes, I'm just like, bitch, we don't need the full ass story. It's a haunted mirror. We get it. However, I have to mention that San Diego Bank and Trust or something was mentioned. So shout out.
Shout out San Diego. I believe the earliest record they have is 1754. Philip Lasser was the first owner, and he burned in his fireplace. Then there was Robert Clancy in 1864, who was 300 pounds, and he hung it in his ballroom. Then later, news took a photo of him, and he had lost a bunch of weight and he died, but there was no like reason recorded. And then another one they had was 1904, Mary O'Connor. She died in a bathtub. And the crazy part was that she was found in a bathtub after being in there for 3 days, and she died of dehydration. So a lot of these deaths are sort of like weird, unexplained, why would this happen to them kind of situations. And a fun fact here is that one of the victim photos, when she's going through all these different deaths, is actually Kate Segal, who is solidifying that, quote unquote, the woman is a previous victim of the mirror.
I love that little tie-in. Also, have you seen the movie Room 1408?
Oh, yeah.
This little sequence here reminds me so heavily of that, going through the room and the deaths and everything. It's just giving us background about the thing that we're supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah. Tim is asking her while all of this is happening who she's talking to, because she's talking to the video camera explaining all of these deaths. She basically says that she is talking to everyone who didn't believe them and anyone who called her dad a murderer and Tim a murderer.
But Tim actually is like, bitch, it was dad. Dad is a psycho killer, and he killed mom, and that's the truth.
Yeah, and she even says, you can call me crazy all you like, but you're not allowed to talk about him that way. So she's going at this almost as a, let me prove my dad's innocence.
Yeah.
It's not so much about healing her and her brother's trauma. It's almost just like clearing the name of anyone in their family that might have been blamed for any of this.
Absolutely. I think I would probably go crazy doing the same kind of thing. I'd be so sure and certain that I was right, that I would need to prove to everyone else that I was right and my family was innocent.
I love this back and forth with them, however, because they both have good points, right?
Yeah.
She's got great points for why this mirror has been fucking up their family and how there probably is a supernatural force causing all of this. But then Tim, he has done a ton of extensive therapy. He has really, really good points. And he's trying to explain to her, like, dude, all this trauma that we experienced when we were kids is causing like delusions, and you are starting to associate what happened and like believe that all of that was real when there's like clear logical explanations, at least in his mind, for why some of these things happened.
Right. Do you seek justice or do you move on and try for better?
He even challenges her at one point. He's like, there's a difference between causation and correlation. And he even says to her at one point, it like always stuck out to me. He's like, Kaylee, how many hundreds of deaths did you have to go through in order to find the 14 or 15 that matched your narrative?
It's like Lady Gaga's The One in the Room.
Love that comparison. You know, she goes into like the last Lasser Glass murder, she explains to the camera, is that of their mom, who was, according to police records, tortured and killed by their dad. And then Tim shot him to death and Kaylee witnessed all of it.
Assuming that that's why Tim has been incarcerated. I guess maybe
that is why.
In juvenile detention or whatever. And so that is our flashback from the very beginning, is Kaylee and Tim defending themselves against their dad.
Yep. And Kaylee tells him, she's like, you know what? If you're so gung-ho on destroying this mirror and let's walk away and what have you, like, please go ahead. Like, I dare you. And he has a flashback in this moment of them trying when they were younger and it didn't work. And she says to him, she's like, please smash it by all means. And as they're talking, we notice that he picked up a stool like he was going to try to smash it. And he actually puts it down. And she's like,
you can't, can you?
Yeah, she's like, did you notice that you put the stool down? And she explains that the mirror can literally defend itself, hence why she has all of these defenses in place. And then Tim still isn't convinced, though. He's like, Kaylee, I didn't break it because it's not mine to break. And he's like, no one can break your delusion for you. You have to break it yourself. So he's still not fully convinced.
Yeah. Powerful words, Tim.
Very powerful words. So let me ask you, does her, like, how did you feel about all of Kaylee's research? Like, does that make her feel actually credible, or does it make her look almost like crazy and like obsessed?
It makes me feel like she'd be fantastic as a doomsday prepper, because she looks, I mean, from the outside, she probably looks like so normal. Like, yeah, I'm a 25-year-old auctioneer with a really powerful ponytail and a hot boyfriend. But on the inside, she's up at night researching all of this shit.
Like, she's terrifying.
Yeah, like she's terrifying. She's powerful. She's a powerful woman, but she's terrifying.
What does her determination say about like the level of coping with what happened that she's like done versus Tim, who arguably has like more trauma, but he's like let it go, or at least willing to let it go?
Girl has not gone to therapy. Girl's not working through her shit.
Oh
she's relying on the mirror to help her work through it with her.
I agree. I also feel like she's sort of in denial of how much trauma that she's in the throes of still.
She's really holding on to this. And it's, I mean, again, we haven't been put in this situation. What are you going to do? Do you find justice for your dad, or do you, and your potentially your brother, or do you try to move on and have a normal life?
Yeah.
But like, speaking about that, how do we think this got into this family's life? Does the mirror choose the victim, or is it circumstantial?
I thought about this, and I can't really figure it out if it's either way, because part of me feels like it's circumstantial, and it's just like whoever's hands it lands in, if you're in a certain proximity of it or whatever, you get exposed to it. It's just like, obviously Tim and Kaylee were not still haunted by it after they moved out of the house and away from the mirror, right? That's my kind of opinion. But then I also do feel like this mirror has so much power that I would not be surprised if it also in some way has a hand in where it lands.
That's an interesting take on that. Like, maybe it's strategic. Based on what, though? Like, what does it want? Like, why is it strategic on who it picks? Or is it like it follows situation where it's just passed along?
Yeah, and it's weird because there's obviously gaps, right? Like when we look back at the Rolodex, I think you said earlier, of all the different people that it's killed. I mean, there were times when it was like 30, 40 years where it didn't touch a soul, or it didn't have a situation.
Or is there lore that's deeper we haven't even touched yet?
I know, I'm very curious.
Or is it so surface level that it's just like, Who cares?
All great questions that we may not ever know the answers to, but I do feel like it's kind of a little bit of both. I think it is circumstantial because the mirror obviously can't move itself, but it also may have some manipulation power. I mean, we've seen it. Well, it does.
We know it can defend itself heavily, and we know it does manipulation as a defense mechanism as well. So we know it's powerful as fuck, just like her ponytail.
Just like the ponytail. Exactly. So another flashback then happens, and we see Alan, and he's like becoming increasingly more obsessed with the mirror, and he's like spending a long time in his office. He's like kind of staring into it sometimes, and he's starting to have a bit of delusions. And one of these delusions he has, which is like super disturbing, is remember when he bit his nail at dinner the previous night or whatever night it was, he puts a Band-Aid on and he takes a staple remover and he tries to take the Band-Aid off. And all of a sudden it flashes to him and he's actually ripping his fingernail off.
You guys, I hate this scene so much. I have actual nightmares about situations like this. It's so visceral. It reminds me of in Poltergeist, where you kind of think that he's taking his face off, but he's not.
But in this case, it's like he is actually doing something bad. There is something about nail stuff and teeth stuff.
I know. I totally agree. You get a lot of stuff like that in this movie.
Yeah. And then he like rebandages his finger, whatever. He's like good to go. And he then looks at like the side of his office and he notices there's a couple books that are like down on the ground. They're open, page down. And he calls the kids in and he's like, hey guys, you guys should not be messing around my office. He kind of like reprimands them because he found like all these books stacked down.
Yeah, he really, we keep seeing over and over again that he really doesn't like anybody being in his office or anywhere near the mirror, really. He's getting really selfish about it. He's almost acting like Gollum or Frodo towards the ring.
Oh my God, that's such a good comparison.
Right?
That's so true.
It's like that kind of possessiveness.
Yeah. And the kids are like, dude, we don't go in your office. We haven't done anything. And he, argues back and is like, I can hear you guys like at night. And you guys should also stop messing with your mother's plants as well. So we're bringing the plants back into the mix.
I wonder if the dad actually thinks the kids are messing with the plants or the mirrors telling him to verbalize that, so the mom is like, it's you guys messing with the plants.
And we'll unfortunately never know.
I know.
Then back in the present, Tim is trying to explain to Kaylee that there were problems with the plants when they were younger, but they were not supernatural related. He's like, dude, there was probably like a water supply issue. There was like probably so many things that could have gone on to why these plants like didn't survive. Kaylee says that from her research, pretty much all of the previous Lasser Glass owners also had dead plants. Not that that's like a glaring piece of evidence, but she's just trying to make some sort of connections.
I mean, try succulents.
Yeah, if you're having issues, maybe just don't have fucking plants if you don't have a green thumb. You see, I have a fake ass motherfucking thing over there in the corner.
I still love me a fake plant because I'm not reliable enough.
They do it really well these days.
Honestly, they are kind of expensive if you get like really nice ones though.
They are. So anyways, Kaylee then, she takes the dog finally.
This poor dog.
So sad. And she puts the dog in front of the mirror in its crate. As she puts that in there, the timer goes off for them to hydrate. This triggers like a flashback of their childhood dog who was acting really weird and almost sick at some point back when they were kids.
This mirror's almost acting like EMDR therapy. It's forcing them to really uncover memories. So, hey, again, back to that therapy theme. It's working just like that as a tool.
Do your thing. Do your thing. So back in this flashback, we're still in the flashback.
Again, the back and forth gives you whiplash.
It's a lot of whiplash. But meanwhile, the kids are thinking the dog is acting weird and almost sick. Alan and Marie argue in Alan's office about him locking his gun away. As Marie leaves, she hears him say, or someone say, grotesque cow, kind of under their breath. And she turns around and is like, what did you just say? And he denies it. But she looks at herself in the mirror a little too long.
And remember, she did hear grotesque cow. And if you remember, she is feeling self-conscious about her body and specifically her C-section scar. But she's now thinking that she's being called a grotesque cow.
By her freaking husband. Like, hell no. Then later that night, Marie wakes up to the dog incessantly barking at the office door. And she tries to get the dog to stop, and it kind of like bites her hand and runs off. And then Alan opens the door and she's like, bro, like, first off, who are you talking to? Because I heard you talking to someone in there. And were you ever going to do something about this dog barking at your door? Like, you were just ignoring him.
It's just, again, all unraveling. The mirror has clearly taken over everything in the house and everyone inside of it. Everything's coming to a head.
She tells him, like, at first, she's like, dude, there's something wrong with the dog. And he just seems like so lost and unconcerned with anything happening outside of his office. Like you said, it's just totally taken
a hold of him.
Yeah. And it's just like so sad because you can just see with every minute, it's like they're losing him, who he really is, like more and more and more.
Yeah.
Then the next day, Alan goes golfing and he's got his clubs. He's about to leave the house and he tells the kids, like, make sure you stay out of my office. And a little later, as the kids are playing outside, Marie is cleaning and she's vacuuming and the dog barks at the door again. And she gets over it. She's annoyed at this point and she's like, fine, you want to go in the fucking office? I'm going to open this door and I'm going to lock you in that office, basically put you on timeout.
Sometimes I do that to my cats. I'm kidding, but sometimes I do.
Well, I mean, your cats are crazy sometimes. Cats are crazy sometimes.
Well, I need to separate them sometimes because they be fucking shit up by fighting.
See, we have the opposite problem with Cowboy where we just have a bed in every room so that he can come in with us.
He just chooses his bed.
Mm-hmm. Yes. If we were to lock him in a door, he will use his head to barrel out. So,
but he probably would just be so comfy that he'd be like, that's fine.
Yeah, he'd honestly at some point be like,
it's fine.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. He'd be like, take me, mirror. Then later, when their dad comes home, the kids are like sitting outside the office because they've been like waiting for their dog to come out. And they were like, oh, like mom is keeping the dog in there. She says, I think the dog's name's Mason. And she's like, Kaylee says to Tim, oh, Mason's on timeout. Like he's been a bad boy. Dad comes home. Alan comes home from golfing and he opens the office. And we get this weird scene because they don't find him inside. They all go in the office and like there is no dog. But then we immediately go back to present time and Tim is like, no, I do not remember this dog situation this way. I remember that Mason was actually sick. And we see kind of another flashback of Tim's version of the memory where his dad was calling from the vet and was like, hey, I've got bad news. Mason's not going to come home. Tim has like a different version of the memory of what happened to Mason the dog.
It's a more extreme version of like the Bernstein, like whose memory is accurate.
And he explains to Kaylee, he's like, I think you're dealing with something called fuzzy traces. And I looked up what this actually means because he kind of explains it in the film. But fuzzy traces is a dual process model of cognition, proposing that memory and reasoning rely on two distinct independent traces, exact details like verbatim and essential meaning, which is like the gist.
Okay, so when I hear fuzzy traces, I'm thinking, college, late nights at college, fuzzy traces, long nights after some wine, fuzzy traces.
When I hear fuzzy traces, I'm thinking, that's a badass band name.
Ooh, add it to the list of that.
Add it to the list.
Fuck yeah.
But he's trying to make the argument to Kaylee that like she's just remembering it wrong because she's not remembering all of the quote unquote details. She's not remembering verbatim what happened.
But it's like whose memory is actually right.
Who's right, exactly. Then back in the flashback again. Kaylee and Tim, young Kaylee and Tim, they hear their parents arguing. Marie is like, dude, I'm hearing you. She's saying this to Alan, the dad. She's like, I'm hearing you talk to people in the office. Like, what the fuck is going on? Later, when Marie tucks Kaylee in for the night, she asks her mom if they were arguing about the woman in the office, which like, sorry, Kaylee, but bad fucking timing. Like, don't bring that up, Like,
yeah, that's such a sad thing to go through as a child, any kind of situation like that. But then back in the present, again, it gets brought up of them, Kaylee and Tim, remembering things differently about was dad cheating or not.
Yeah, Tim is like very adamant that their dad was just cheating and that everything he was doing was like a sign of an affair. It didn't mean that there was something supernatural going on. But Kaylee's like, no, there's no way that there was an affair. I think she even says like at some point that she did some like research. She looked at bank statements. She looked at like, emails and was like, there's no indication that dad booked anything for anyone or even bought flowers for anyone that wasn't mom.
She's done the legwork to get the facts.
Yes. Yeah.
And everything's pointing to what she remembers.
Yep. And at one point, she then says, this is in the present, she says to Tim, things have been happening in here while we've been arguing.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah, it's really, really scary because like at first she was starting to kind of look a little bit crazy because nothing had like to our knowledge happened in the house just yet.
That's such a scary sentiment is like it's listening right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Also, just something kind of funny as we go back and forth with talking about the parents. How is it that it seems that parents in horror films are always the last one to figure out that something's wrong?
I think it goes back to that like whole thing. There's like a trope, but it's also kind of real where like children and animals are just so much more attuned to things in the supernatural.
But brother, what happens when you don't have children? Who's going to warn you?
Your dog.
What if you don't have a dog?
Your goldfish.
What if you don't have a goldfish?
Then you're fucked.
Fuck.
You're literally fucked.
Then you're dead.
Then you're going to be the one who's still trying to convince someone that it's a normal thing happening when you're literally like dying from a fucking ghost.
Then the mirror's already got you.
Boom.
Pick number 3, my lord.
I have another question for you though. So do you find it unsettling though that like nothing like quote unquote big has happened yet? But then you kind of mentioned it when she has that quote where she's like, things have been happening while we've been arguing.
I think if you put yourself in real life, because it's a movie where we are expecting something to happen, right? An apex, something to jump, something to alert us, but nothing is happening. And she's kind of assuming it like a movie, like, why has nothing happened yet? And that is unsettling. We're unsettled because if you're expecting something big to happen and nothing's happening, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. For a moment, it does seem too like Tim is kind of getting through to her. Like she starts to cry a little bit and Tim is like, he's such a good brother. He's trying to be really comforting to her. And he's like, Kaylee, we can go wherever we want. Do not worry. We will figure this out together. Your fiance will also probably be totally down to help us. Like, you know, he loves you. You have support.
It's funny. It's almost as if Tim has realized he's won this argument. He's kind of won over Kaylee's thought process. And he's like, it's okay. We'll work through this together.
Yes, exactly. And he's just like, he's so sweet and supportive. And he's like not judging her for thinking the things that she thought. You know, he's not making her feel... Even though he did tell her like she's sick and, you know, whatever, but he's like, he's trying to be reasonable.
And she's also like, okay, you're right.
Kaylee then walks back into the room with the mirror and Tim joins. Okay, this is where things start to get fucking scary.
It's almost like your heart sinks a bit.
Yeah, because they walk into the room and again, we think at this point that Tim is getting through to Kaylee and that we're going to have this turn of events and she's going to relent.
And it's the mirror. It's not the mirror. The mirror's not haunted. It's just all in her head. But...
the plants have died and now the two cameras are facing each other. And Tim's face.
He literally looks so fucking shook.
He is so defeated and just, you can tell that he's fucking terrified that what is happening is actually real.
Because he was so certain that he was right and he was going to be able to help his big sister who used to be able to help him and now it was his turn. But no, this mirror bitch is haunted.
Obviously, one of them was going to be wrong.
Yeah.
And one of them was going to have this come to Jesus moment. And it's just shitty because, yeah, Tim, who had all this, he's had all this therapy and all these things to try to convince him that it was just part of his trauma, is wrong.
I mean, you win some, you lose some. You had a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Kaylee starts reviewing the footage from the last few minutes. And it's so strange because as they watch it, it's them having the same argument that they were having, but they're moving the cameras themselves, even though they do not remember actually facing the cameras towards each other.
So going back to Oculus 3, was it?
Yeah, chapter 3.
Oculus chapter 3.
Film.
It's this entire from when they've entered this room with the cameras and everything is basically that short film is Oculus. So we're getting these different angles of, are they moving the camera? Are they not? What's real? What's fake? What has it manipulated?
Kaylee somehow figures out like the radius of influence is about 30 feet outside of where the mirror is. So to try to ensure their safety, they need to try to stay outside of the radius as much as they can unless they are like in the room with the mirror to try to like do XYZ. Then Tim walks outside and he's like, I got to call my doctor. Like, I need to talk to them about this. It's obviously the person that they've been leaning on for the last 10 plus years.
Again, this with all of the work he's just done in the past 10 years about therapy and moving on, being completely undone within the first 24 hours of his release. And obviously he needs to call his doctor.
It's almost like calling like your sponsor.
Yeah,
if
100%.
you're, if you're going through sobriety or something.
That's a perfect comparison, yes.
Yeah. He like walks outside. He thinks he's trying to call his doctor, but suddenly he's back inside and he's freaked out because he doesn't remember how he got back in there.
This is where the mirror starts to not only fuck with time, but space. It fucks with every kind of thing, every perception you can have, it's fucking with.
And we've already been going back and forth between present and flashback, but I feel like this turning point in the film is where we really start to blend together a little bit here. So apologies if it's a little like just chaotic.
You know what it reminds me of too is in Beetlejuice where they're just like popping in and out of like all over the place. I'm like, okay, this is giving Beetlejuice.
Okay, wait, Alice, do you want to hear a fun fact too about the script? So apparently, as much as we're confused right now with our notes and just going back and forth between past and present, apparently when the script was being written and read by the cast, they were getting so confused that they had to go back and intentionally italicize everything that happened in the past.
I would hope so, honestly. I feel like every movie that deals with any kind of time period transition should have some kind of indicator. Yeah,
and this is so hard too because towards the end of the film, like we get scenes where we see young and older
together,
Tim and Kaylee, and they're together in the same scene, and it just gets convoluted. But I do find it a little bit makes me feel better that the cast was also a little confused.
We weren't the only ones.
Yeah, and that's a great transition to yet another fucking flashback where the kids are playing video games on the couch and they hear their mom vacuuming in the office. I think like there's some reason that they're like, oh, let's go see like what mom's doing. And they go into the office and they find their mom and she's just staring at herself in the mirror with the vacuum in her right hand. And the vacuum is on, but she's just holding it there in the same spot.
And again, this woman who plays Marie is beautiful, but she's also just naturally a little bit creepy looking.
Yes.
Imagine her when she's being controlled by a mirror.
Even creepier. This is like kind of where the tipping point happens, I feel like, where she begins to start to act like a bit emotionally unstable. Yeah. She like later on that evening, the kids are having dinner and she's just drinking wine. She doesn't even have any food. She starts like saying comments to the kids about how only knowing where their dad says he is, but not actually knowing where he is. Then she like literally asks the kids to like, she says, tell me more about the woman in the office.
I love how she's like probing the situation. And I just want to say, I support you, Queen. Get your tea while it's piping hot and burn your cheating husband with it.
If he was actually cheating and it wasn't just a supernatural ghost.
True.
A supernatural Kate Seagal.
Don't we all have one of those?
But honestly, I'd maybe let that slide. I'd be like, you know what? Do what you got to do.
This begs the question, if you cheat with the ghost, is it cheating? But do you know who we have to ask first and foremost?
Tori Spelling.
Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, shit. Technically both. Wait, I love that. I love it. But anyways, so Tim, he then says that he saw this woman in the office the evening before and that she was standing on the stairs in their house and then went back into the office. And he says, I think she lives here. That would freak me the fuck out if I was Marie.
Well, it's kind of funny because we start to get introduced to all of this like new lore into the situation.
Yeah. And Marie tells the kids too, she's like, okay, you guys go play. And she like goes and snoops in Alan's office. And she does find some notes. And it's really weird. It feels very sixth grade when you're like writing like, oh my God, Emma Loomis. I love like Billy Loomis, whatever.
Like I Heart, yeah.
You know, and it's just like this full paper that just says Marisol.
How much of horror films would we avoid if people just stayed out of the fucking office?
It's always out of the room that they're supposed to stay out of.
Why is it always an office? It's like more times than not an office.
I think like it goes back obviously in this film to the mirror's power, right? And it's what present Kaylee was trying to figure out was what is the radiance of influence, right? Does it go outside the office? Does it go,
right? You
know, how far does this influence really, really lie?
And that's what Kaylee has been testing.
As Marie's in the office, she gets really frustrated, obviously, as she like found proof that her husband has a lover, whether ghost or for real. And she throws a pen at the mirror and then an unseen force kind of like throws its energy back at her and it almost like possesses her. Like she like, woof.
It's like a wave of energy.
Yeah. And then her reflection starts to smile back at her. Dude. And it's like so creepy because this part goes back to her C-section scar because she starts to open up her dress and she shows her C-section scar and it looks like super open and infected now.
This scene freaks me. I have to look away at this scene.
Oh yeah, it's so gross and it's so it's just so heartbreaking because you just know in this point like the mirror has now got her.
And it sucks because we can see her. We don't see what's happening internally, probably, like how she's actually feeling.
Totally. And the kids hear her scream. They come running to her aid, but she's definitely like not herself now. One of the first things she does is she chokes Tim and then chases the kids upstairs, but they're able to lock her out of one of the rooms as she bangs on the door to try to get them, which, this is where things start to get scary for me, to be completely honest. Like, I don't want anybody fucking chasing me at full speed. Like, no, thank you, ever. Suddenly, Alan then comes home and he's kind of confused because he hears like some stuff going on upstairs and he sees what's happening and him and Marie actually get into like a physical altercation and this leads to Alan choking her to the point of unconsciousness. And this part is so fucked up.
Well, he also does try to call 911, Alan. It ends up not working out and we start to learn that the mirror can manipulate even like technology, obviously.
Well, and it's like so shitty because he literally types 911 in his phone. And I think he puts it up to his ear. And then he just like ends the call. And you can just tell that the mirror, it's actually really good acting. There's a moment there where he's still Alan, the husband. And he's like, oh shit, I've done something bad to my wife. I need to call 911. And then you can tell.
It clicks off.
It clicks off and it's good acting on his part because he just so seamlessly transfers and it's like, nope, this actually is not a concern. We are not going to call the cops. Nothing's going to happen.
The manipulation is really strong. So it's a wonder how it's not faster to fully take over. It's good, obviously, for our characters, but damn, this is a powerful ass mirror. And yeah, we see that transition in Alan, and he actually ends up chaining his wife to the walls. And we actually saw those chains earlier when we were reintroduced to the house.
This whole like next scene that we're going to get is just, it's wild. And like Alan tells the kids, he's like, your mom is sick. She needs to rest for a while. And he's just like, we don't want you guys bothering her. So that's his way of keeping the kids out of the bedroom that he's like locked her into. Kaylee even asks, she's like, who's we? And he just like glazes over that and doesn't say anything.
He uses like the universal we.
Mm-hmm.
Like in pluribus.
Yeah. Then back in the present, now this scene fucks me up. I know it fucks you up too.
Oh my God, you guys, trigger warning. If you, especially if you have dreams about like eating sharp shit, this
like
is
your
trigger
teeth
warning.
falling out or something.
Teeth falling out, yeah.
So back in the present, there's a couple of light bulbs that have burned out as the food alarm goes off. So Kaylee and Tim, they need to eat and Kaylee hands Tim an apple. He like goes into another room and he kind of sets it down momentarily next to some light bulbs that he's like trying to switch out. He's like no longer in the same room as her at some point, and then she comes in and like changes almost like it seems like the same light bulbs. But as she picks up what she thinks is an apple, it is actually a light bulb, and she bites into it and is now bleeding.
And it's so disgusting. It's blood everywhere. It's glass. It's teeth. It also reminds me, I love and hate. I love it because it does affect me, and I hate it because it's so disgusting and affects me. When horror films do a food scene and it's like they think they're eating something and then it turns into something else. Obviously, Ghost Ship, obviously Lost Boys.
I was going to say, Michael.
But so this scene, it just, again, another one that fucks me up enough that I have to look away. Just the biting of the bulb. Ugh.
And she has like straight up blood coming out of her mouth and she is in disbelief, just kind of frozen and shaking. And Tim comes back into the room or whatever. And suddenly it's an apple again. But I don't know if you noticed, like she still has the blood kind of on her lips.
So again, what's real? But again, that's kind of like at Five Nights at Freddy's when the main character's waking up from a dream, but he also still has cuts. Also, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, like, so many different iterations of that. And she says at this point, she's like, maybe we should stay together.
No shit, bitch.
Okay, question. Do you feel like the fact that you technically can't believe anything that you're seeing now, like, and nothing is real, does that ruin it at all? Or does that add to the thrill for you at this point in the film?
I think it adds to the frustration of why are we trying this? I think Kaylee is got a good heart for all of her efforts for putting this together, but I think we know enough to know that the mirror is smarter than anything and everyone. So, like, let's fucking move on.
Personally, I feel like this is where the film starts to get really scary for me, is because I kind of pride myself personally on like having a good grip on like what things are happening. I feel like I'm very observant. All of those things I think would play into like my strength if I were in this same situation. But when you start questioning your own situation or like your own recollection of something, like, oh my God, this just like truly takes us down the like Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole.
Yeah, as far as the concept of, like you said, questioning your own sanity, that is terrifying. I think that's probably, again, like I said earlier, that's the scariest thing, is your own brain and the psychological aspects of knowing or not knowing what is real. And truly, it's when you start to really go down the rabbit holes, it's like, what is real? Like, everything's kind of a simulation. But in horror movies specifically, it's testing a lot of those boundaries.
I do commend Mike Flanagan, though, in this point, because he took that short film, right? I think he expanded on it in a really great way. And we can get into this too in our like final thoughts shortly. But I do feel like he did a good job of freaking the audience out, of almost making the audience feel like we knew what was happening, but then turning it on our head a little bit. And just like, how many layers deep do we go of what's real and what's fake?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But anyways, we've got just a couple more little scenes to get through here.
Yes,
so let me bring us back to the past. We have another flashback where we have Tim and Kaylee, and they're watching TV on the couch, and they're hearing like a ton of noises from upstairs. And mind you, their mom has already been locked into the bedroom now, and they've been told by their dad that their mom is sick and they don't need to bother her. But Tim is super hungry. Kaylee like tries to open the fridge. There's no food. Kaylee like bursts into the office to tell her dad that they need food. The TV's out too. Like, it started like staticking, and like they can't even watch TV now.
The kids are starting to really notice that they aren't even able to like watch TV. It's becoming an issue now.
And they're like, dude, also the doctor needs to come and see mom. What the fuck is going on with her? And he basically just like ignores Kaylee while staring into the mirror.
He's focused on the mirror, but Kaylee still is like, what the actual fuck? And she actually takes initiative and goes up to the parents' room to check on the mom and tell her they need food. And what she's met with is truly a terrifying scene, especially for such a young person, let alone her own daughter, to find her. Marie is still chained to the wall, and she looks fucked up. All her teeth are chipped. There's blood. Her face looks all gnarly. Like, and to see this as a daughter,
she looks like animalistic. And I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but there is a point where Alan brings up a plate of food to her, but she has taken that plate and is almost like eating pieces of that plate.
Of the plate.
Hence why her teeth are all chipped and fucked up, and like, she looks like she is going to eat someone. Like,
it's terrifying.
She's, no offense, again, very beautiful actress, but there's something creepy about her. She's already kind of scary.
She got that good creepy smile down.
And then you're going to put her in this, where if this bitch was fucking chasing me and was chained to a wall, fuck that.
Dude, imagine that running up to you after you in a dark tunnel, just like,
no, thank you. I'm scared. I'm scared now. Anyways.
You guys, I have to go home after this by myself. Fuck.
The kids like try to take things into their own hands a little bit, and they try to call a doctor, but they find out that it's like the same person each time. And every time they call, the person on the other end of the line is like telling them to have their father call.
Again, it's the mirror manipulating, which is absolutely insane. And the poor kids are being victims to it now.
And they know it though. Yeah. They're like, yep, every time we call, it's the same person, and they say the same things, and they're like, fuck, what do we do?
So let's keep in mind that at one point in Tim's life, he did think it was the mirror. Obviously, it's this point when they're children. Yeah.
And it gets to a point, too, where Kaylee is like, I'm going to leave the house and go grab a fucking neighbor to come over. And so she does. She brings a neighbor over, and it's so heartbreaking because it's one of those situations where, like, the neighbor is right there. They're almost able to help. But Alan plays off the entire thing like nothing serious is wrong. The neighbor leaves, and he even tells the neighbor, like, let's go play, like, the front nine at this golf course next week. Like, I'll give you a call.
Heartbreaking. Do you ever think, we hate to see those so close but so far scenes of them almost being rescued. Do you ever think about, like, how often that happens in real life? Like, how close people are actually to finding actual victims in real life?
I try not to think about it, but I do have kind of a weird philosophy that if that were to ever happen to me and I was asked to check on something, I would try to do as much of my due diligence as possible. Like if it were me, this man should have at least called the police or something and been like, hey, can you just like go and do a welfare check? Like if he didn't want to do it himself and he got turned away from Alan.
Yeah.
Bro, you just have to know for sure. I want to see. For sure. Can I see Marie? Can I see the house and make sure that you guys aren't, Because
in a lot of cases, how many times could it have been, it was such a close call, but thank God. But like, no, nobody said anything.
So anyways, later, as Tim is playing by himself, and this is again, we're back in the past, the lights go totally out in his room. And he goes down to his father's office to tell him, and he sees Marisol. And he's seeing her for the first time in her full like form. And she's like, the producer and I were calling her the demon mistress.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a compliment.
Yeah. No, I mean, she's like definitely a hot demon.
Yeah.
But then back in the present, the lights go out as well. And Kaylee goes around the house and she's like, she has planned for this. And she has these like little camping lanterns. And so she's like activating all of them. At one point when she's like turning on all of these camping lights, she finds some broken pieces of ceramic plate on the floor. And all of a sudden, her dead mother stands in front of her and she stabs her in the neck with a ceramic piece that she like had found on the ground earlier. But in this moment, it's actually her fiance. She accidentally stabbed him in real life. Then Tim finds them.
But is it real life?
Well, so Tim finds them and they deduce that it might not be real because she gets a call from her fiance while she's looking at him stabbed right in front of her. And she's like hoping with all her might that it's actually just the mirror like fucking with her. Then unfortunately, they find out that it is actually real when she like pulls her camera out because for some reason the camera can show things that are real or versus not. And she finds that she actually used a piece of ceramic pot from a dead plant that she had previously kicked over in order to stab him in the neck.
So again, it's really hard to tell between reality and what the mirror is making seem real. It's like it's really hard to keep up with as a viewer too.
I think that part for me was so heartbreaking.
Yes.
Like seeing her, because obviously her fiance showed up because he
was concerned.
And she maybe didn't answer one of his calls. But I'm pretty sure he was instructed to call the police. Like he wasn't supposed to just show up.
I know, but like to be honest, obviously this was gonna happen. I saw this coming.
It's just so sad.
I know.
It's so sad.
R.I.P. Nathan Scott.
Tim then takes Kaylee outside and tries to call for help. And he thinks that he's called the police and an ambulance. But as they're outside, suddenly the lights then turn back on. They see themselves inside, standing in front of the mirror in the old office. And Tim tries to call 911 again, but it's the same guy from when they were younger and they tried to call asking for help for their mom, saying that their dad needs to call and that the doctor will be there tomorrow. So now again, we're blending that past and present. Those flashbacks are like coming together.
It's like we're getting a huge blend of just everything in this climax of the film.
Yeah. And in another flashback, things are getting increasingly bad with Alan. He loads his pistol as Tim watches through a crack in the office door, and he tells Kaylee, and she says that they're going to have to do whatever they can to try to destroy the mirror because things have gotten so bad with their dad. And as Alan goes upstairs to where he has Marie chained up, we see Marie and she's eating parts of the plate that he had given her earlier. And her mouth, again, is just super bloody.
Oh, that's so gross.
It's so bad. And he unchains her. And this is like, he doesn't say it,
Alan
but
unchains her.
Alan unchains her so that she can go fucking attack the kids.
Basically like unleashing your dog.
So fucked up. Then we're back in present day, and Kaylee and Tim, they're losing like increasing chunks of time and don't know what to trust and what's real.
Again,
and
it's really not helping with their sense of reality.
They realize that they've been herded upstairs from the room with the mirror and that they need to get down before the timer actually goes off because they're concerned that their real selves are actually in the office and something bad might happen to them. But it's confusing.
It's almost a little bit of Inception, too.
It is. You know? It is. Yeah. Then back in another flashback, you guys. So sorry. We're going back and forth a lot right now. Young Kaylee and Tim, they're making a plan that if their mom is still on the other side of the door of the room that they're in, that they were like taking solace in, that Tim needs to just get downstairs and Kaylee is going to try her best to sort of like distract. So they open the door, they start running. And of course, Marie comes like charging at them, and Kaylee is able to hit the mom with the golf club and then jumps from an upstairs window outside so that she can try to get reunited with Tim and help him break the mirror downstairs.
It makes you kind of wonder why the mirror hasn't fully possessed one of the kids yet, or has it?
I mean, it hasn't possessed them necessarily, but it's definitely fucking with them.
But it's not created like an animal like Marie is.
True.
Or has it? And we just don't know yet.
Yeah,
we don't see that perspective.
Kaylee then sees Marisol and another ghost, demon possessed. And
Do we know why this ghost is called Marisol?
It's just her name.
Sure. Just Marisol.
Just her name.
Yeah. Her name tag says Marisol, so that's what it is. Got it.
Yeah, that is what it is. And she has a man like behind her, like another kind of demon possessed guy, but it's not Alan. And they're staring at Kaylee from inside the office from the window.
I'm not going to lie. They look scary to me.
Oh, they're terrifying.
This does visually scare me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Kaylee then all of a sudden suddenly hears a gunshot and heads back into the house. Then we're back in the present, you guys.
I swear.
So sorry. Whiplash alert. Kaylee is making it back into the room with the mirror, and she sees her dead fiance standing right in front of it, but no sign of Tim.
So fucked.
And then back in the flashback again, Marie gets a hold of Kaylee and chokes her almost to death, but then starts to come to right before Alan shoots her dead. It's so heartbreaking because she starts to choke Kaylee on the floor. She has a moment because Kaylee's like, Mom, no. And her mom is like, Kaylee?
It's like when the little sliver peeks out in the personality.
Yeah, I think that's a theme that happens in a lot of horror is that the real person is still down there somewhere.
Most recently, we've talked about it in Get Out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's just so heartbreaking because then Alan just shoots her dead.
Well, obviously, because for all we know, he's really trying to protect his kids.
Yeah. And Kaylee and Tim, they try to go run to smash the mirror with their golf clubs, but nothing happens. And
obviously.
They find that all the things that they were trying to hit with the clubs was literally just hitting outside of the mirror. They never were striking they weren't ever hitting it.
They were hitting just the wall aside, the mirror.
This all happens really fast, but their dad comes in, catches them trying to destroy the mirror. He points his gun at Kaylee before Tim hits his arm with the club, causing him to drop the gun. And then Alan just starts choking Kaylee against the wall.
So much choking. And Tim picks up the gun and threatens Alan to let her go. Alan eventually does let her go and then gets on his knees and challenges Tim to shoot him. And similar to Marie, it's like Alan kind of comes to for a small second and he grabs the trigger as Tim has it pointed at him to almost assist him, and he says, run. And it's so sad because you can tell that this is Alan saying, please just end it for me. Yeah.
Because I don't want to hurt you and Kaylee even more.
I mean, this entire situation for everybody is heartbreaking.
And that's how we find out that Tim, quote unquote, shot his dad. But it was really kind of his dad that did it.
Right. I think and again, it's not like his dad wanted to shoot his mom. It's self-defense against the mom trying to kill the children, but the mom doesn't want to kill the children. It's the mirror.
Do you find it as frustrating as I do that at this point, it's just so frustrating to watch them lose so much control? It sucks because obviously, we know why they're losing all of this control, but God, it bugs me.
I know, but it's Kaylee was setting us up for us to know that was going to happen.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
But no, yes, it is still frustrating. Well, as a viewer, it's come on.
And part of me just wanted, I think, to see them just fully win. But I mean,
I never want to see them win.
You don't. Oh my God, you masochist.
I am the mirror.
I am the mirror. Kaylee then is suddenly alone and she's standing in the office with the golf club and she sees her mom in the mirror.
This is so sad.
It's so sad. And meanwhile, present day Tim finds himself alone in the room with the mirror and he's sitting on the ground in front of it with no sign of Kaylee. And he decides that he's going to go and manually trigger the kill switch. And he's going to try to get that thing to fucking come right down on that mirror to smash the shit out of it. And he does. He manually sets it off and then reality hits. And Kaylee was unfortunately right in front of it. And he killed her by letting off that kill switch.
I mean, I think we had to know this was how it's going to happen.
Oh, God, it still fucking broke my heart.
This had to be the way it was going to end. That kill switch was going to be it.
Dude. And then back with young Kaylee, she's reunited with Tim and they make a pact that they're going to come back to kill the mirror one day to avenge their mom and dad. we start to see sirens and lights and hear them, and it's all seen in like the background. And Tim then gets questioned and placed in handcuffs, both in the past and in the present for what just happened. And Tim is just like begging them all to believe him that it's the mirror that did it. So now it's so heartbreaking because Tim had this healthy mindset and was like, oh, I'm dealing with my trauma. It's not the mirror that did all of this to us. And now he's back to where he was as a literal child, begging for them to believe him.
And he's lost even more. He's lost everything.
It's so sad.
Less than 24 hours out of incarceration, and he's lost everything. And that being said, the mirror remains undamaged, and it's implied that the mirror lives on and will continue to haunt people's lives.
God, this is just like, what the fuck was Kaylee's plan?
Well, that's the thing. The entire movie was Kaylee's fault. It was all Kaylee's fault.
No, it was, for sure.
Let me go back. So we never found out the why behind what's it called? The Lasser mirror?
Yeah.
The Lasser glass? We understand that its origin, its first owner was Lasser or whatever, but why is this glass haunted before that?
Yeah, we don't know. Not only do I want to know what the fuck was Kaylee's plan, but like what evidence would have been enough for her? How would she have planned to stop this?
Exactly.
How was she going to... Okay, I'm sorry, but even though the golf clubs didn't work and you thought this big kill switch thing that was weighted was going to work to like come down and crush the mirror, there had to have been a small doubt in her that also wouldn't have worked.
There's got to be massive doubt, unless she's that delusional.
It's just this whole ending to me, and I kind of alluded to it already, but it's so fucking sad. It is one of the most tragic horror endings in my opinion.
I think it goes back to the familial trauma that you were talking about at the beginning, and I think that's something that they do really well in this movie is play with the family dynamic and really incorporate tools we use to work in family dynamic. Like this whole movie is essentially like a metaphor for therapy.
And it just shows that like you can think that you've gotten so far and something can like set you back, I feel like. And in my opinion, I'm sure you agree with me too, but I just feel like Kaylee's obsession ultimately doomed her.
Obsession, addiction, sure, as those things do. Again, I think this does a really good job of making or we're thinking too deep. It's about therapy. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's about mirrors. Because I think back to the scary part of it is, you're right. It is scary to think about what is reality. It reminds me about like what I assume drugs, like doing hardcore drugs is like, it alters your mind like what they're experiencing. This mirror is a drug. I mean, look, it's controlled their lives to the degree where Kaylee made her whole life. She got a career in finding this mirror just to have this be the end game. It controlled her life just like that. Tim's life, it's been his entire life. He's incarcerated for 10 years because of it. So in a way, this mirror is their addiction. It is their obsession. And
I think it's like just so heartbreaking too, because I mean, obviously we would not have a horror film if Kaylee and Tim just moved on.
Right.
And they both dealt with just their trauma and said, we're going to have a fresh start when Tim gets out from being incarcerated or in his psychiatric facility, what have you. And we're just going to start over and we're going to build our family up and not dwell on like the past. There's nothing we can do. But not everyone thinks that way. And Kaylee obviously had a lot of unresolved things that ultimately led to her downfall in the end. And it's just so sad and heartbreaking.
Yeah, it also reminds me, I'd be so interested to learn, I don't know why I'm thinking so much about Amityville Horror during this entire film, but I think it's again has to do with how the house, quote unquote, possessed the DeFeo family or the Lutz family, whichever one it was.
Some kind of, yes. like it's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a family curse, if you will, surrounding moving. But again, I really like when we pick kind of a surface level movie that is just kind of there, that we can just talk about and be like, that's a movie about mirrors.
To your point, though, I do kind of want to know more about the mirror.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, I think if Mike Flanagan were to ever create something, it would be really cool to learn a little bit more about what happened to it.
It seems like it seems like this might be a passion project or passion story of Mike Flanagan's, because he did make that short first and had the intention to make those installments. So it sounds like this might have been, this story might have been inspiration for a lot of his young career moves.
I want the lore. But you know what? The cool part is that he could either leave this as is for forever, or if he decides one day he wants to fucking dive back in, he can.
If he's like, you know what? I need 7 more trips to the Maldives in my lifetime. Why don't I pop a movie out?
Perfect.
Here we go.
Love it.
We got
Love
a movie
it.
right here. Let's learn about this mirror.
Well, that is Oculus, you guys. Shout out again to our Patreon member, Zach, who requested this film. We hope that you loved our take on this film and loved this episode. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. If you'd like some bonus content or to join our book club, please come on over and join our Spooky Chicks social club over on Patreon. Please subscribe and rate us 5 stars wherever it is that you listen. But y'all know that the best way to support us is just by sharing our show with another friend who loves horror. And Allison, with that, would you like to close us out today?
I would love to put that drape over a mirror, please.
Hell yeah.
Literally never fuck with any type of mirror ever at all. Rock that power pony if you got it. And stay spooky fuckers.